This is Live Exceptionally. I'm Dr. Evonne, your host, and we continue our highlight of women entrepreneurs and women founders for our Women's History Month focus. And I'm excited to have Dr. Terica Pearson, who's going to share about success as a business owner and leader in her community, as well as how she manages success with her faith and her value system. She's the founder and owner of Pearson Consulting Group out of Atlanta, Georgia area, as well as the founder of Business Blazers Academy and Business Blazers. Excited to have her. Let's tune in. Hello, Terica. I'm so excited to have you with us today.
Hey, doctor, how you doing?
Doing well. I'm excited to talk about your business as well as the focus on you as a woman entrepreneur and woman's founder. And so I'm going to jump right in as a business owner and a woman of faith. How do you balance pressure to have it all with your personal values?
Okay, that's a good question. So it's basically about maintaining those values and having a balance, right? With work-life balance, including the spiritual. So one is it's a combination of my faith, understanding my purpose in life, and understanding the value of deeper connections, which I think many people forget about those deep connections that you have with those relationships in your career as well as personals. That's how I maintain a harmony in my life.
I like
It's
that word,
always remember.
harmony.
Yes, I like that better than balance.
Yeah, I like that
Yeah.
too.
Mhm.
Harmony, the coming together of different
Yes.
components. Because you are the founder and head of Pearson Consulting Group. You have Business Blazers Academy, and then you have Business Blazer.
Mhm.
And when I look at that, sometimes there's a lot of pressure for success, striving towards doing things in a way that you want success, but then we start compromising our beliefs and our values in order to get ahead. Are
Right.
there any tips that you have to encourage people who are leaders in their own right, whether it's a business owner or leader in their organization, of how do you find that harmony related to not compromising your faith or compromising your beliefs with getting ahead and being successful?
You have to stay true to yourself. That's the key thing and what you believe in, because everybody believe in a lot of things. And it's funny because I was just having this conversation with one of my colleagues, and we said it's three parts to like this human experience, right? Mind, body, and spirit. And so with that, we have to make sure that we understand that even as us with our values, with our morals, and with our ethics, we still gonna make mistakes.
Yeah.
We're still gonna have flaws. And so one of the things that I stay true to is just making sure I'm being obedient to my assignment what God has me on. Regardless of what people think or regardless of how they think we should move or maneuver, stay true to your assignment, your purpose, and be obedient to God's plan for your life. That's why I like Romans 8, verse 28. All things work together for the good of them who love the Lord, who are called according to God's purpose and plan. And sometimes that scripture get misconstrued. It's only going to work if we stay true to what God has told us to do. That's the only way it's going to work for our good. So you have to just stay true to that and develop your values around that. Like mine is called skilled. Those are my core values. Good stewardship. Continue to have knowledge to educate the community. Walk in integrity. Be influential with great leadership. Have love. That's passion and purpose and power. Equipping with our resources and dedication to what you do because you know that's where you're supposed to be at.
I like the fact when you talk about skill, because
Mhm.
sometimes, especially as believers, we focus a lot on faith, trusting God, believing, but we don't build our craft, refine or
Exactly.
improve our craft. And I think that that is a great word and a great reminder that regardless of whether we work in the marketplace or if we're a founder or entrepreneur, that we have to continue to work on the skills that God has given us, having a spirit of excellence, doing quality service, having quality service, quality products, and that
Right.
that's something that we should be focused on and not just completely reliant on, well, I trust God. God's going to do it, having faith in that and so focused on our skill set.
But it says faith without works is dead. So you still have to put in the work. You still have to educate yourself. You still have to apply it of what you're learning. I think sometimes many people learn so much that they still don't know how to apply it. They probably know how to memorize it, but then it goes to another level of how can I apply this and what I'm working on. And that's why I'm glad that we do have continual education. I say I'm a lifelong learner, so I can learn from anything,
Me
even a
too.
little kid. So there's always something that you can learn from conversations, from interaction. It just depends on how you look at it and your outlook.
Right. One of the key things that we hear a lot here recently, especially in the political environment that we're in, is a lot of division, a lot of anxiety and stress, regardless of which side of the political party that you fall, that a person falls. In that regard, a lot of people are finding themselves, there's a lot of anxiety. And so when I look at statistics, anxiety, stress, mental health issues are at an all-time high, even on, for example, college campuses. Unfortunately, there's a high rate of suicide that's tied back to mental health. And so as a woman of faith, how do you how does your faith allow you to cope with stress and moments of anxiety, especially as it relates to trying to have a living, make a living? Like everything falls back on you. It's not like you clock in at a job, go to a job, and you have a set paycheck that's coming in every week or every other
Say
week.
that again. I have to tell people that.
That you're the person that are responsible for your living expenses, income, not just for yourself, but your employees, the people that work for you. So how do you manage stress, and how does faith work in that related to anxiety, stress, and whether it's personally or even professionally?
Okay, so first, I don't do politics at all. I leave it to what it is, and just who's ever in office and whoever making the decisions. I still just try to look at the opportunities that's there and just go from there. One of the main things I am so adamant about is my self-care day, which is on Saturdays. I don't answer the phone like that. I don't text anything about business. They know not to contact me on Saturday nor Sunday, because Sunday is mostly for family and just relaxing or whatever. So I think sometimes we've had this mentality for so long to like work until you die, and that's not it. So my check-in, because I do deal with anxiety, and so my check-in is making sure I have that self-care day or that moment to myself. Have therapy. I have a therapist. Go to therapy, check in with my therapy. Like, I mean, I'm going to pray. I'm going to study my Bible and things like that, because that's how we grew up. We was taught, pray about it, trust God. But
Right.
like we say, faith without works is dead. And so I do a lot of meditation and affirmations as well. But you have to recharge and love on yourself, whether it's taking a walk, watching your favorite show, going shopping, going to see a movie, hanging out with friends. You have to surround yourself with good energy and positive vibes. I take solo dates. I take solo trips. I'll go watch a good show. I take a long drive, but you got to take that time to recharge and reset your mind, body, and spirit. And of course, I work out at least 3 or 4 times a week. So that helps a lot too.
Do you find with the people that you're interacting with, like your clients and even the people that are attending your classes, that is spilling over in their interactions with you, like the stress and anxiety? Do you find it spilling over because you are in a customer facing type of business? Do you see it impacting your business on the other side with where people are?
Of course, most definitely. People trying to save money. I'm a customer first myself. And so I definitely see it. It's about having compassion, having emotional intelligence to understand when it's not all about. I don't believe in selling anyway. I don't believe in selling. I believe in educating. I believe in discussing, and we doing reviews and assessments. I don't sell anything. We're gonna go through it and see what's needed and go from there. And so I think it's really about understanding your clients and having those relationships. My clients, we have great relationships. So I thank God for that. Even if they have to move and go to another carrier or something because we just don't have a carrier that fits them in their budget, they call and apologize. And I'd be like, I understand. You trying to save money. And they still will. They was like, maybe I can come back. I said, of course, because we have that rapport with each other. And so sometimes we be on the phone, be praying, because they going through so much, and be praying that God, will make a way for them, because we know things gonna happen.
Right.
Everybody's gonna go through like what we call like that dry period. Nobody is exempt from that. It don't matter how much money you make or whatever. And so, but it's really a part of really having compassion, passion, and understand, having strong discernment to know when it's a time to just, okay, wait a minute. You don't need me to be your insurance agent. you really need me to be a listening ear and provide some type of motivation and inspiration. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Looking at that and the fact that Pearson Consulting Group, PCG, focuses on insurance. I feel like as a person who grew up in the church, that there was like, the Lord is soon to come. You shouldn't be planning, you shouldn't be putting money away because the Lord is soon to come. And so there was this imminent thing that the rapture is going to come. We're not going to be here. So you shouldn't really be planning for the future. The concept of just trusting God. If something happens, you lose your job, you get sick, just trust God. So there's a whole camp of people who don't really advocate for like medicine or insurance or protection planning. But as a person who was a formal financial advisor and I'm also a CPA, I strongly believe in financial planning, having a budget, and the financial plan, like the whole concept about a financial plan, the foundation is cash reserve and protection planning. So a part of protection planning will be our disability insurance. In the event that we're not able to work anymore, we have short-term disability, and then potentially you might want to have long-term care, and then also life insurance. What are some of the challenges or the objections that you hear from people, whether of faith or not of faith, regarding having protection planning? And is there differences like between men or women? Because women tend to be more caregivers and putting other needs first. And so I would think sometimes they would be more apt to take out insurance for versus others. What are some of the objectives that you hear? And then how do you encourage people to prioritize their protection and well-being within this context of insurance?
the main objective that I hear mostly is that they can just put me in a cardboard box,
Mm.
or I'm going to be cremated. It doesn't cost that much for a funeral, or I'm just a single person. I don't need all of that life insurance. And so the caveat with me is that I don't teach that from a standpoint of death. I teach it from a standpoint of having this while you living, as far as life insurance, the benefits of life insurance while you living, that you can utilize those benefits, like what you said, long-term care plan and disability. Many people don't know life insurance has a rider where you can do like what we call living benefits rider or accelerated benefits rider, where it covers expenses for terminal illness, for critical illness, and for chronic illness. And I think many times in our culture, we was taught to look at it more from the death standpoint.
Yeah.
And so that's why I used to remember when my mom's insurance guy used to come around and collect that money for the life insurance policy and stuff. But then as I got into life insurance, I realized that even those policies that they gave our people back then were not good policies.
Exactly.
They were not. And you paying $20, $30 a month for the rest of your life for a $10,000 life policy. By the time you've been unpaid for that life policy so many times over. And so I think the key thing is the objections, because they don't know. And so that's our thing, is to educate them and say, hey, this is why you need the cash reserves. Cash reserves, instead of putting your money in a regular savings account, let's go to a high yield savings account, where you can get more interest on your money for protection. This is why you need disability if you're an entrepreneur. What would happen if you can't work anymore, if you just broke your leg? What would happen with that income? And so I think it's really just being real with them and being serious about it. Long-term care planning. We're living longer now, so you need that. And so I think it still goes back to educating and understanding the importance of budgeting, because many people don't understand that every cent of your money should have a purpose when it goes out. So I think it goes back to those core foundations and those core teachings on money and how money works.
Right.
And so that's what we get to. Like, when I have that objection, I just ask them questions, or sometimes I just listen to them. And then I'd be like, okay, so right there, what you just said, if you would have had this, you wouldn't have to worry about that. And they'd be like, yeah, it'd be like a light bulb that goes off in their head and stuff. It's all about making it relatable.
When you said that you're not selling anything, you're building relationships, I think that's important, because I think we talked about this before we started. When I would do financial planning and worked with a lot of people related to like investments and setting up portfolios, a lot of my colleagues, the choices or the selections that they would make to give to the clients was driven by how much commission they got. And so it was a mindset that was more of a vested or selfish interest. It wasn't in the interest of the client to do what was right for the client within their financial situation. How can we educate people on how to interact with financial advisors? I mean, is it just, you have people that come to you, but how do we get the word out? Because that's something that bothers me. How do I let people know that not just because you walk into a bank or I don't know, Edward Jones, that you're going to have the right person doing the right thing for you?
It's funny you said that because I don't even know how much commissions I make on life insurance and annuity. I don't check it. And I have access to so many different carriers because to me, it's all about that client and that client needs. That's why we do a full assessment. And so it's funny you said that because I don't even be knowing the commission I make on it. Now my PNC, that's a different story. But on that, I don't know. And that's why I know mine's is more of making sure the client has a sound financial plan, that it even has flexibility so we can make changes to it as that client grows, as that client upgrade, as that client adds on, And so I think it's still about developing those relationships, getting the word out, it's getting in your community. It's like witnessing. When you in church and stuff, you go and witness, you go door to door, right? It's the same thing with financial education. I literally bought the building I'm at now because it was in a community, in a low income community.
Right.
So I can get out and educate around here where I'm at and stuff, because we just got to get out and just start talking about it. Passing out tracts, passing out financial information on those tracts,
Right. Yeah.
because it's important to do. It's the same concept. They won't know you here until you get out in your community and be active and be present. It's really actively being present
Yeah.
and seeing what's going on.
How do you come against the objective related to people who say that they're just trusting God? So we know insurance is based on preparing for the unexpected. Insurance is about managing risk. But sometimes people with a very strong faith foundation, they don't really see the need for insurance. So how do we balance trust in God's provision with the practical steps of still planning for uncertainty in life?
Just put the word back on them. I mean, it's faith-based and word-based, right? So I said really study Malachi 3 then. Or really study Deuteronomy 28 and stuff if you really want to know God's blessings for you if you walk in obedience. So it's all about just they're going to respond to the word like God responds to God's word. So God's people responds to God's word. So it's about really educating them. This is how faith is in action. This is how God provided us all of this to be good stewards of it. And the only way we can be good stewards of it is providing for the future, is budgeting, is making sure we have our affairs in order. That's from power of attorney. That's from advanced health directive. That's from wills. That's from trust, showing how this must be set up and is according to God's will and God's plan and God's word, which is basic instructions before leaving this earth, So just taking it right back to the word of what they understand and know and have faith in. Make it relatable to that.
Going back to your being a woman's founder, what would you say are some of your 3 biggest challenges that you face being a business owner as a female? And even if you don't want to focus as a female, just in general, what's your 3 biggest challenges? And then would you encourage someone who's a business owner facing those same challenges? How do you overcome them?
Of course, the one biggest challenge is finding people that really want to work. Employment. 2 is just staying motivated. It's really just staying motivated when you feel like the whole world is about to crumble. I mean, just last week I was tired, because we in the process of transitioning it and expanding the insurance agency, but also with that becomes bigger responsibilities, more issues that has to be solved. So, and although you have a team, they're still looking at you as the leader. Okay, what are we going to do? It's like, what y'all going to do? That's why it's a team, but they still look at you as the one that, hey, you brought this team together.
Right.
We're going to follow your leads. And also my biggest challenge, I don't want to fail.
Right.
When you have this team or these people depending on you to really drive this thing and to lead this thing and to be, that forward thinker and that thought leader, that makes this thing do what it do. That's the biggest one, is getting into your own mind saying, I don't need to fail. I don't need to fail, but you're not going to fail. And that's why I have to remind myself is that I'm not a failure. God has equipped me to be at this place where I'm at.
Let's talk a bit more about staying motivated. I know I face that a lot as well with things that I'm doing, especially when you just start out and a person is just building. I mean, you've been doing this for a little while now, but like me starting this podcast, it's like, what's the point of doing this podcast? Like, I'm not getting paid for it. You know, what's motivating me to keep going, keep doing it. And so that whole idea about motivation, but for me, I think it ties back to what you said at the beginning about knowing what your assignment is. So even if you know what your assignment is and you're struggling with motivation, how do you continue to keep going?
You get like those little reminders, like a phone call. Hey, Dr. T, I put into what you talked to me about as far as focusing on one thing, and I focus on it and it has grown to this. I'd be like, oh, okay. Be like, okay, God, thank you. Because sometimes you wonder, am I really doing what I'm supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
So it's like those reminders from nuggets you forgot that you dropped. I said, I told you that. She was like, yeah. I said, okay, cool. I'm glad it's working. It's those reminders,
Mhm.
or just really look at your own self in the mirror and say, hey, I got this. Encouraging yourself, because we've already been equipped to do it. God trusts us with it, and reminder that God trusts me with something so precious,
Right.
and that I'm the only one that can do it, and I said, well, I know God is going to give me the strength to carry it out. And then take a break. If you need to take a break, take a break. I take them real quick. I take a break so you can refresh and renew. Because sometimes you could be, because you going so much,
Right.
even on those self-care days, that sometimes you just need to take a break so you can come back with a renewed mind, restored, and then can think clearer and do better. I think sometimes we feel like we got to get it done now. We got to get it done now. No, we don't. We don't
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah, especially when you're your own boss, sometimes the drive. I was talking to someone yesterday who was another person that I'm highlighting for Women's History Month, and we were talking about like the vain ambition and striving. And sometimes the vain ambition and the striving makes us focus on the aspect of success where like it is just this aggressive pushing, but it's not from a place of peace. It's not from a place of faith. It's not from a place of just trusting God. And we begin to just trust in our own strength that we're going to do this and make things happen. And then ultimately we're stressed out, we're full of anxiety, like there's no joy. We don't have a sense of fulfillment because we're doing it all out of a place that's not even in alignment with our original assignment. It's from a place of flesh.
It becomes more of surviving instead of
Mhm.
thriving. And God don't want us to get into survival mode, because if we get into survival mode, we'll miss the mark, or miss what we're supposed to be doing. And also miss the open doors, because we just looking there to survive instead of thrive.
Yeah. Talk a little bit more about your definition and idea of success. What does success look like for you, and how would you encourage us as women to approach it in the same way?
So my definition of success does not have to do with money. My definition of success is that where I have come in contact with someone and I have made a positive impact that have helped them to make better decisions,
Mhm.
wiser decisions, and able to grow and evolve.
No, that's nice and simple, short and sweet. Okay. And how does that tie to the greater picture of your business being successful?
That we're making a positive impact worldwide. That we're not just a insurance agency, or we got so many clients on the books or things like that. But what are we doing to make sure that our community is properly covered? How are we impacting our community? Are we impacting it by just taking their money, or are we impacting it by all imparting and sowing into that community to be better, to grow? And so that's what we want to leave. That's what we are leaving. That
Hey, man,
that even
I
when
like
we're
that.
gone, they could say, "Hey, that company was more than just about we coming in and paying a premium. They wanted to make sure that we was taken care of the right way,
And
based on our
certainly
needs."
in our parents' generation, we heard a lot more of those type of businesses. I
Yeah,
think currently a lot of businesses nowadays, it is literally just about money. And not to say that we're not in it to have a living, make a, have perpetual income, build for the next generation. But I think the motives have slightly changed where I certainly in my I remember businesses, they were more for the community, more for supporting and building, whereas nowadays it's less, we see
Yeah.
less of that now.
But that's what we started at the church, giving to the community. I remember we used to have to give out the cheese, the butter, the dry milk. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where it started, and my mom, she always was a giver. She was always about the people. Even when we were going through ourselves, she was always about the people, taking people in, making sure their kids was okay. So it's in our DNA,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Well, as we wrap up, do you have any final thoughts? And then also please share about your business.
You can find us online, Pearson Consulting Group, LLC.com, Business Blazers Academy.com. That's the same as for our Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn. Only thing I can say is I'm glad Evonne is doing this for Women's History Month. I appreciate the opportunity, and it's all about making sure that we're educated. For Business Blazers Academy, our thing is called educating, equipping, empowering, and engaging. Those are our things that we do to make sure that you're educated, that you're able to use that and to apply it, which is equipping, then continue to empower you by continuously providing resources, then engaging, connecting with the community, connecting with other people, because it's all about relationships. So if you understand that and develop those positive relationships and deeper connections, you will see that you will evolve. When that time you feel it down, you can pull from that and say, hey, can you give me an encouraging word? Or they're going to know because of those deeper connections that they need to connect with.
Thank you so much, Dr. Terica, for being with us today.